This is Ukashi Oyan, a cavalry commander in service to the warlord Koroji, and the first character I've chosen to flesh out and design in some detail for power fantasy. Now at age 43 in the year 712, a life dedicated to conquest under the banner of the Khan Empire has formed him into a veteran leader and tactician. I've mentioned various other named characters in my videos so far, but only in the context of wars and events they're connected with, so in this one, I want to focus on this character as an individual. I'd love to do more like this, so if you enjoy this kind of look into characters' lives, let me know what you think in the comments. Oyan was born in late autumn of the year 668 to a family of lower noble status in the nomadic Khan Empire. Like many of his peers, he essentially grew up in the saddle, spending his youth riding and learning to hunt and fight on horseback. His formative years were spent during a time of great change and expansion for nomadic society, as the first Khan Emperor, Yugadai, united the various polities populating the steppe to form the Khan Empire, and invaded west into the sedentary kingdoms of the Central Plains. These conquests would give the young Oyan the opportunities he needed to distinguish himself on the battlefield and advance through society, and it wasn't long before he himself was leading men into combat. A big part of Oyan's character is his size and imposing physicality, standing tall at 191 centimeters. This natural size and strength, combined with decades worth of both training and experience, make him a powerful force in combat, and I wanted to convey this through his visual design by making him clearly rugged and tough. However, despite his martial prowess being such a defining characteristic, as a person, Oyan is much more than just a fighter. He's outgoing and good-humoured, and above all dependable. So to reflect these more subtle qualities, I tried my best to give him a certain degree of softness in his face and expressions. It was during his early years on campaign as a young adult that Oyan would meet Koroji, the third son of the Emperor Yugadai. As Koroji was only a few years older, the two found themselves at a similar stage in life, gaining experience and renown through their accomplishments furthering the Empire's conquests. Many years fighting on the same battlefields would lead to the two developing a close friendship, and as they both came to understand and rely on each other, a strong bond of trust would form between them. Oyan and Koroji had quite different personalities and interests, with Koroji most notably being far more ambitious and strategically minded. Instead, the simple reason they became so close was essentially just that they enjoyed each other's company and conversation. Koroji would spend many years establishing a solid power base of his own, but when the opportunity at last presented itself, he invited Oyan into his service to become one of the lords under his direct authority. Oyan readily accepted this new appointment, and would offer Koroji his support both as a highly capable commander and trusted friend. While his allegiance and loyalty lie with Koroji, the most important person in Oyan's life is undoubtedly his wife, Ukashi Yunie. Yunie is a sharp and highly educated woman from the high-ranking Ukashi family, a powerful political force within the Khan Empire. She and Oyan first ran into one another at one of the many social events held by the higher Khan nobility, around the time when Oyan was starting to make a name for himself. Yunie is an engaging and skilled conversationalist, and the two could easily talk for hours as they got to know each other, with Yunie particularly interested in hearing about Oyan's experiences on campaign, and discussing the wider empire and its far-off frontiers. As they started spending more time together, Oyan quite quickly ended up falling for her, and it would become clear that as they'd grown closer, Yunie had started to feel the same way. After a number of years spent courting, the two would eventually marry, and once it became official, Oyan adopted the family name Ukashi. Yunie really had to convince him to take the name, not because he didn't want to, but he hated the idea that he might be using her and the connection to her family for his own gain. However, Yunie made it clear that his bearing the Ukashi name would be in not just his own best interest, but hers as well, as it strengthened both their positions. Once convinced, he carried the name with pride, and embarked on this new stage of his life as an Ukashi. Ultimately, Oyan and Yunie's relationship is rare in noble society, as their marriage is one formed on a basis of genuine love and affection, in an environment where politics and family allegiances dominate. Nowadays, in the year 712, the two live together in the Western Khan Empire, in the region that will, in autumn of that same year, end up breaking away from the empire to become the state of Hanbei. The conflict that precipitates this change is one in which Koroji and Oyan are central figures, and will involve the two of them fighting against forces from the Khan Empire, the very same empire they'd once called home. Thanks so much for watching. I realize it's been a long time since my last video, way too long. After the last one I released, I had originally started working on a different video, the aim of which was to do a detailed breakdown of a major battle, and is as such really quite ambitious. I'm still absolutely going to make this video because it's exciting to work on and I want it to become a reality, but I want to do it to a high standard, and it became apparent while I was working on it that doing so was going to take a hell of a long time, and that's why I started working on this video as a kind of interim release. That seems to be the case quite often with me though. This video itself ended up becoming pretty intense artistically, and combined with life outside of YouTube becoming very busy, it's taken me a while. The ones who've really kept me focused this whole time are both my community and friends over on Discord, and especially my supporters on Patreon, and I can't express enough how grateful I am for that support, so thank you. Going forward, I have some ideas for more regular content besides just the videos. My main idea in this regard, besides the weekly updates I release on Patreon, is to design new armor for the Power Fantasy universe each month in the future. I think my vision for the realistic armor in this setting is really what got many of you interested in the first place, and it's one of my favorite parts to research and work on, so I feel like expanding on that side of the project could be really positive. Who knows, in future it could even lead to some sort of armor compendium or some such, but we shall see. Depending on what I decide, I'll likely announce it through a community post relatively soon, so keep an eye out for that and let me know any thoughts or ideas you might have about this kind of thing. Again, thank you all for watching, and I hope it's been interesting to get to know these characters I've created. See you next time.